Hi folks, Roz Lee here. The other day I was talking to a writer friend of mine, Jean Jawakam, and she's currently reading my latest book, The Backdoor Billionaire's Bride. And she said to me that as she was reading it, she could literally hear my voice reading it to her. And she thought it would be really great if I were to narrate my own audiobooks. And so I thought, yeah, I don't think so. But to put that notion, that crazy notion to rest once and for all, I'm here today to read you an excerpt from The Backdoor Billionaire's Bride. If you hear some noises in the background, that would be Bud, my rescue Labrador retriever, running around, wishing I was playing with him instead of playing at being a book narrator. So here we go with The Backdoor Billionaire's Bride. Her new boss pulled into the parking lot as Becky got out of her car. She chalked his punctuality up to his desire to put Butte Plains in his rearview mirror as soon as possible. Waiting beside her car for him to join her, she thought about the man who had starred in her dreams last night. Sometimes he'd been the sexy seducer, making her body sing. Then he'd be the monster raining terror on her quiet little world. If she were to draw the man of her dreams, he'd be Ford Adams. She'd always been drawn to tall, dark, testosterone-overloaded men. If he had an ounce of compassion in his bones for his new employees, she might consider acting on her attraction. But he didn't, so she wouldn't. Then there was the part about him being her boss. She'd checked for a wedding ring, and his father would have mentioned his son becoming engaged, so unless he had a girlfriend back home, the expiration date on their professional relationship couldn't have been stamped in more indelible ink, so there wouldn't be any real harm in sleeping with him. It wasn't like he could promote her from unemployed to employed. Only her scruples stood in the way of a fling with the sexiest man in Butte Plains. She didn't do flings. She'd had a brief relationship with a guy she'd met in the library her sophomore year of college. The chemistry between them had been off the charts, but David had been immature, skipping classes in order to party. He'd flunked out of school the spring semester and moved home to Colorado. Last she'd heard, he'd become a ski instructor at one of the smaller resorts in the winter, living off his parents the rest of the year. Her scruples were there for a reason, to protect her from doing stupid things. Damn scruples. Good morning. She shaded her eyes from the morning sun with her hand to her brow. I don't know what's good about it. She opened her mouth to say it was a good day because she'd woken up on this side of the grass, an old joke her grandfather on her mother's side had been fond of, but thought better of it before the words passed her lips. Unlocking the door, she ushered Ford in ahead of her. She punched in the alarm code, then flicked on the overhead lights. Someone's grumpy this morning. He had a right to be. He'd buried his father yesterday, and today he had to begin the steps to shut down the business his ancestors had built. Nothing to be happy about in either of those things. Didn't sleep well. He stalked off in the direction of his new office. His grumbled remark gave her the opening she'd been hoping for. She caught up with him as he sat down at his desk. Did you come up with any ideas to keep the plant open? You know, a lot of good people are going to lose their livelihoods. Families are going to suffer. People are going to have to move to find other employment. Kids are going to have to change schools, and 40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes, the dead rising from the grave, humans sacrificed, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. He powered up the computer while he ranted. I get it, Becky Jean, I really do, but I'm fresh out of ideas. She shook with the need to pummel him. How dare he make fun of the situation? She clenched her fists at her sides and unclenched her jaw. I can't believe you're quoting Ghostbusters. You might think this is all a joke, mister. I've got plenty of money, but I can assure you the people who depend on their jobs here will not think closing the plant is funny. Slamming her office door didn't bring the satisfaction she'd anticipated. Becky crumpled into her desk chair and lowered her forehead to her arms folded on the desktop. She didn't know what came over her, but when he'd begun quoting from one of her favorite movies, applying a scene she'd always thought hilarious to the present situation, she'd lost it. Every bit of civility she possessed flew right out the window. So stupid. She revisited the last few minutes, wondering how she could have prevented the scene from happening. Things had started out on an even keel. A pleasant good morning from her, a not so welcoming reply from him, making his mood apparent. She'd goaded him, poked the bear, and the beast had lashed out. Great, just great. She owed Ford an apology. Just not yet. Her outburst couldn't have improved his mood, and it hadn't improved hers, so waiting a while, a year or so, would be a good idea. Give them both time to cool off. Well, that's The Backdoor Billionaire's Bride. I hope you enjoy reading it. It's available right now in ebook and print from all the major book retailers. So have a good day. Bye.